Today's targets and avoids in new dynasty startups. We've got Matt English in the building. How we doing today, Matt?
Oh man, doing fantastic. Glad to be back in the birdhouse again and get into some more fantasy talk. We've been drafting like crazy people over the last couple of months, and there's just so much to discuss.
Oh yeah, we're right in the middle of two startups. We just finished up one, and we've got another one getting ready to get started in about a week. So we're doing some prep for that one, of course. And the Birdhouse 4 is one that was just finished up. You and I teamed up on that one, and we noticed some trends and some ADPs maybe not mixing so well with our thought process, and led to us getting some value in our opinion. And so we're going to touch on a few of those guys here today. We had some big news yesterday, the Jonnu Smith deal. I don't know, you got any quick thoughts on that Jonnu Smith deal to Pittsburgh? Any
Uh,
maybe a couple risers, couple fallers from that deal?
yeah, sure. So Miami pass catchers all rise. Well, at least their wide receivers rise. I don't know if I'd invest in any of their tight ends, um, and that includes the one that they just
Yes,
traded
Darren
for.
Waller back from the dead. Yes,
Yeah,
putting his rap
that's
career aside.
that's a real stupor for me. I don't get that one. And then as far as Pittsburgh's concerned, I I mean poor Fryermuth owners who have drafted him with Jonnu coming in, and really any of their pass catchers, I think, kind of take a hit. Um, Good for Aaron Rodgers or Mason Rudolph or Will Howard, whoever ends up playing quarterback at whatever given time this year. And then, the running backs will benefit from this as well because Jonnu Smith's a pretty decent blocker as well. So, yeah, it's a weird one, man. It's a weird one. I mean, I think
Well,
we all kind of knew Jonnu was going to get traded at some
yeah, I
point.
saw that rumor 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
About the contract squabble. But him going to Pittsburgh, it helps them out definitely in real life. The
right.
offense. Okay, I don't know how much Ramsey versus Fitzpatrick really changes things there because they're both playmaking safeties, right? Um, they both move around and can do a lot of different things. So they're good
Right.
in those regards. But the offense for Pittsburgh, it does get helped in real life because they're looking to play bully ball, right? They want to take that approach against the Bengals and Ravens within their division, and this helps that style for sure. And it gives them Jonnu in a much more reliable second option, if you will, to DK. So I don't know if it hurts DK a whole lot because he would have been getting his kind of targets regardless as the wide receiver one. But now Jonnu gets more of the underneath stuff. So yes, it definitely crushes Fryermuth, and Jalen Warren maybe takes a hit for 5 catches or so he loses as well. But the running game is getting a plus because that means
Yeah.
more 12 personnel, more 13 personnel where they stick Darnell Washington out there too. Don't go chasing the waivers for him because he'll get you a good 5 catches for 5 yards and probably 2 touchdowns out of that. But Arthur Smith's happy and he's welcoming his boy Jonnu Smith home. But enough about Jonnu Smith and the gross Pittsburgh offense. Let's get into some of. Now, I did my guys last week. We're going to do mostly your guys this week and then hit on some avoids as well. And this is all based off of current ADP in Dynasty startups. This doesn't necessarily mean, especially for the avoids, this doesn't necessarily mean that we hate the player, right? We just hate the place that they're getting selected in,
Right.
right? So we see a discrepancy of whether it's a half a round, a full round, or even more in where they're getting selected. And so, if the avoids, if they do fall into your lap a round or two later than where they're supposed to, then they're okay to take. You always want to take value when it's presented, but at the same time, you want to jump on these guys that we're talking about now, about targets. And so let's get it fired up right away with your boy Kenneth Walker in Seattle. Right now, 58 on Keep Trade Cut. His current ADP from Dynasty Data Lab is 64, which puts him at RB 18 and the 604 in your cookie cutter half-point tight end premium Dynasty startup leagues.
Yeah,
so
super flex.
What do you? Yes, super flex, of course. And so, what do you like about Kenneth Walker, Matt?
Well, number one, what I like about it is his value on Keep Trade Cut, and whatever calculator you use, that's fine. But for the purposes of this show, we're using Keep KTC here. He's 47.89. Is his value. To me, that's super affordable. So even if you're not in a draft, if you're looking to trade for a running back with good upside, if that's where you are in your build, Kenneth Walker works on both of these talking points because he's super affordable, right? He's running back 14. Look, Kenneth Walker is a good freaking running back. And I know he comes with injury concern, and I think that's kind of baked into where his ADP is and to his value a little bit. But if you look at his yards per touch or yards per carry, he got involved in the passing game last year way more than he's ever been before. I would expect some of that to continue. But let's see, I've been able to get him in like the sixth round of a startup. Dude, give me an RB1 in the sixth round all day. That's silly. Yeah, I've been trying to trade for him over the off season just because he's affordable and I think he's an RB1. I mean, it's hard to argue that point, but he's an RB1 that's going at like RB2 prices and our RB2 ADP as well. He's a guy I can't. If I'm sitting there in the sixth round and he's on the board, I got to take him.
Yeah, I like him at his 604 ADP. Of course, it depends how your draft falls and whatnot. Like, I mean, we were able to get Christian McCaffrey in the sixth round of our last startup. Now, that was a two tight end format with a 0.75 tight end premium, so the tight ends were obviously a little more valuable there. But Kenneth Walker specifically right now, his ADP is right sandwiched in between the two rookies, RJ Harvey and Caleb Johnson. All right. So you put that into context, like all you're doing is really, you could be making a bet that Kenneth Walker's better than RJ Harvey, right? Mm-hmm. I'd have no problem if I've built a team with my first 5 picks where it's more win now, like let's say you got AJ Brown instead of one of the younger rookie wide receivers, right? You took him in the back end of the third, somewhere around there. Then I would lean more towards taking a win now running back like Kenneth Walker, where you know for sure, like we've seen it, this guy can be an RB1 type player. He could finish top 5 at running back if he stays healthy, right? And then you're kind of making a bet on the Seattle offense as a whole, really, because he's going to be the biggest beneficiary as far as ADP goes. Like JSN is already baked into having an awesome season. His price, you're paying for him as a top 12 wide receiver, and I don't know how much. I mean, there's wild takes out there that he's going to finish wide receiver 1. That's kind of more of just a shock value, I think, take. But JSN finishing wide receiver 12 overall, that's about where he's being taken. Kenneth Walker, what we're saying is picking him at RB 19, where he's currently being taken, you can get really good value. Like he could, if he does stay healthy, finishing in the top 10 at running back is definitely not out of the question for Kenneth
Oh yeah.
Walker.
And look here, just some guys that are ranked ahead of him, right? Jonathan Taylor, Brees Hall, Quinshon Judkins, Kieran Williams, Chase Brown. Now look, I'm not saying I don't like those guys either, but like Jonathan Taylor's got injury concerns, bad quarterback play. You know, Brees Hall, they openly said from the beginning of this new regime, it's going to be an RBC, right? Plus he comes with injury concerns. Quinshon Judkins got drafted really early in the second round this year, but then they turned around and drafted another running back right behind it. So what does that hold for you? Kieran Williams, we'll get to him a little bit later. Chase Brown, I mean, you know it's a pass-heavy offense. He's got the pass-catching upside, so that's a little bit different. But there's a couple dudes right in front of him that I would probably still lean Kenneth Walker ahead of. And it's like you said, he's going at what, RB18, RB19, but he's ranked RB14. So
right,
there's just good value play. If he's sitting there in the fifth, into the fifth and sixth round, it's a good move. And
I think what also comes into play there in the sixth round is what wide receivers are going in that area too. Because, like, I try to, round 6 through 10 has a nice sweet spot pocket for running backs in the startups from what I've been seeing, and I don't love the wide receivers quite as much in that range. Now I know I had Jamison Williams as one of my guys, but he he's going in the 7th round. But he's one of the only real wide receivers I'm truly targeting there, because I think that the wide receiver divide, you have the top end wide receivers, right, that we're getting in through the 3rd and into the 4th round. But after that, once you get into those wide receivers in rounds 5 and 6, you're getting pretty much similar type production from guys at wide receiver you can grab in rounds 9 and 10, or even 11 and 12. Like, when you look at an overall rankings of wide receiver 20 through 45 are all very, very flexible as to where they could finish on the season. You've got your top end wide receivers, but then 20 through 45, they're very flexible. Whereas the running backs in that range, you're getting guys that are the top guys on their squad. Even somebody like Chuba Hubbard, right? Chuba, we know, is Carolina's main guy based on the contract, based on his usage last season. And so I'm saying, like, Chuba Hubbard, who's going back-to-back with DJ Moore, right? Now, you can have your opinion on DJ Moore. Some really like him, some don't. I feel pretty lukewarm on him, right? Wide receiver 25-ish, right? But Chuba, he is the guy in Carolina. So if you're looking for your roster build, like, you take Chuba Hubbard there, and then you grab Chris Godwin later in round 9, 10, or even a Jacoby Myers in that range, versus taking DJ Moore and then being stuck with Jalen Warren as your running back trade-off. So that's where I'm saying it's the sweet spot pocket I found is like rounds maybe 5 through 9-ish for the running backs, and Kenneth Walker's ideal right in that area.
Yep.
All right, so now another guy who has been rising, I'll say that, and he's been all over the place, so we'll give our take on him, but that is J.J. McCarthy. All right, J.J. McCarthy screamed up the board to 38th on Keep Trade Cut, yet his ADP is down at 50 still, which puts him at quarterback 18 and the 502 selection on average. So first of all, what are your thoughts on J.J. McCarthy quickly? We all kind of get the idea with him, but then where he's going in drafts, more importantly.
Yeah, so I really like JJ for a couple of reasons. One, I can get him at great value. Let's see, I picked him up, I think, in the 5th round of 2 out of my last few drafts, startups, all super flex. So getting what I would consider a top end quarterback that late, because we both like to spend those early picks on wide receivers. So it's nice to get a really good quarterback at that juncture of the draft. That being said, he's still affordable for what I consider a top quarterback, right? He's 5,600 ish, 5,641. So he's super affordable, and you can find him pretty much in the 5th round. And the other part, when you really break down, yeah, we didn't get to see him last year because of the injury, right? But it was a meniscus. It wasn't like an ACL, MCL, anything like that.
Right.
It was a meniscus. Heck, I just had a meniscus repair in December. I feel fine. Now, given I'm not running from like the best athletes in the world to keep my head on my shoulders, but
You're chasing after your kids, though. I mean, that is tough.
it's close enough. But I mean, let's just be real. Look who's calling his plays. Look who his coach is, right? And then he's got arguably the best pass catching arsenal to deploy as well, right? He's got Justin Jefferson. He's got Jordan Addison. He's got T.J. Hawkinson, and even Ty Felton's looked good in rookie mini camp, and then also in some of the
Aaron Jones.
But yeah, then you get into the back there. He's got Aaron Jones as a pass catcher and a pretty decent runner his whole career, and then they just added Jordan Mason. The whole point is he's got weapons all around him that are really good. He's in a situation where he has no choice but to succeed. Plus, he brings athleticism to the table, so you're going to get extra bonus there, the cheat code for quarterbacks, right? Because he's got rushing upside as well. And just the 5th round to get this guy. The guy throwing the ball to Jefferson and Addison is going in the 5th round.
Right. It's insane, really. When you look at it, like, I mean, I'm the biggest Baker supporter out here, but how is, you could take J.J. McCarthy over Baker Mayfield easily, who's going a round earlier.
Yeah.
And you look at the other quarterbacks in that range. Kyler Murray ahead of him. Jordan Love ahead of him. Even C.J. Stroud, like Stroud's got Nico, so he has a little better. I prefer Stroud to Jordan Love. But the point being, McCarthy has better weapons than all of those dudes.
Yeah.
There's no reason, if he had played a little bit last year, there's no reason he wouldn't be going right around where Bo Nix and Drake May are going right now. And so all McCarthy really has to do is show up on the field. And next year, we're talking a guy that's a 2nd or 3rd round dynasty startup pick.
Well, even in
you're
the
getting
ranks,
him in the 5th.
Even in the ranks, the first 3 or the next 3 quarterbacks in front of him, Bo Nix, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy. I would take JJ over all 3 of them, just because of the weapons he has at his disposal and his coach.
Yeah, with that system in place, I mean, Kevin O'Connell is not slowing down his passing play calling just because McCarthy didn't throw it that many times at Michigan. Okay, I think that narrative has been beat to death, and I think people are realizing, okay, it really is not going to matter. This kid can play. He just didn't have to throw it that much at Michigan. But if O'Connell asks him to throw it 40 times a week, he's going to be able to do that. And the Minnesota defense doesn't really help things. They're very talented, but yet shaky. Okay, I'll just call them inconsistent. And then in the division that they're in with the Lions and Packers offenses, and then you throw the Bears offense into the mix, like that's a pretty explosive division on the offensive side. So you got to put up points to win games in that division.
Yep.
And so those are going to be some fireworks, those NFC North battles. And McCarthy's going to be right in the mix there. Whether he starts off hot or slow, they're going to keep asking him to throw the ball. Like, they're not going to turn this engine over to Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason and have them running the ball 45 times
God,
a
no.
week.
They're not built to rely on the run game.
No. But yeah,
Here's the other
I
thing,
love
too.
this
Have you
Minnesota
watched-
offense.
Have you
What's
watched
that?
McCarthy this offseason? Have you watched any
I've
tape
seen
on
him. I've watched some throws. I mean, it's
Yeah,
in
dude.
shorts, but
Dude looks good. Yeah, I mean, I've seen the 7-on-7 stuff. Now, given, I
Yeah.
don't think he's Sam Bradford, right? And I'm going to give you some context. I don't think he's going to look like an all-world quarterback on the practice field and then look like he doesn't belong in the NFL on Sundays. Okay, that was Sam Bradford,
yeah,
right? So I think he looks good in practice right now, which is just reassuring for all the thoughts we had on him last year. Right,
Yeah.
to see him putting the ball in just perfect spots, moving from both sides of the field, throwing to different receivers. I've seen everything I think you want to see to this point to invest in him. So, and again, at that price point, it's hard to
yeah. I just look at McCarthy and I can see a total repeat of what, not necessarily quite as many yards and touchdowns, but what Patrick Mahomes was walking into, whatever it was, 6-7 years ago, when
post Alex Smith,
he took
yeah.
over. Yeah, when he took over for Alex Smith, and you had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce that he was throwing the ball to, and you just looked at the numbers, and it's like, okay, so you got a top 5 wide receiver, top 2 or 3 tight end, and yet you're ranking Mahomes down here at quarterback 15. Like, the numbers don't match up.
Right.
Like, if you think that Justin Jefferson is a top 2 or 3 wide receiver, and you think Jordan Addison is solid as a top 25 wide receiver, and then you've got TJ Hawkinson in the top 7 at tight ends, top 5, whatever, he's good. The point is, the numbers,
Yeah.
Unless you think all 3 of those guys are going to just underperform, you gotta make the bet one way or the other, right? And if you're
Right.
looking at it and you think that those guys from Minnesota, the receivers, are going to do well, McCarthy's going to have to put up the numbers, and so that's where it doesn't make sense to me. And I'll gladly wait and grab him in the 5th, or even quote unquote reach for him in the 4th, if
Okay, so what happens?
depending
so
on
gets
where
hurt.
I'm picking. What?
If he gets hurt, you lost your 5th round pick. Better than losing your 1st or 2nd round pick. On a quarterback
And he's
pick.
young, so he's not going to lose that much value. Young, like if he tore his ACL in week 3, right? He's still going to have some insulated value based on his youth, based on the players around him who are more than likely. I don't know if Addison is signed yet for next season, but I know Jefferson's there, so the value insulation
Addison's
is
in year
definitely
3.
there.
Doesn't he still have another year left on his rookie deal?
Yeah, that's right. He's a year behind Jameson Williams. I get the two. The two are so similar, Addison and Williams, in their roles and their explosive offenses. I forget that Addison's a year younger. But Addison's going to be looking to get paid this next offseason. So he's got some motivation as well. All right. So that's J.J. McCarthy. Next up, we got Davante Adams. He's currently 96 on Keep Trade Cut. ADP is 94th overall. Wide receiver 39. And he's going at the 8-10 currently. And this is one of those wide receivers that I kind of mentioned when I mentioned Jameson Williams, that there were a couple of wide receivers that I liked in this area. What do you see coming from Davante Adams in this upcoming season?
I see big things for Davante Adams. I know he's past his 30s. I get all that. That's wonderful. He is currently on Keep Trade Cut even. Like the dynasty community doesn't even value, but like, where is he? He is 42nd. He's wide receiver 42. Going for the unbelievably affordable price tag of $36.73. Do we not know
Yeah.
who Devontae Adams is? Do we not know who's throwing him the football? Where's he going ADP wise now?
Well, ADP wise, he is at 94. So the receivers ahead of him
Seventh
are
round.
these are the guys ahead of him. So it's eighth round, eighth 10. Eighth round.
8-10. Okay, gotcha. 8th round.
Yeah, the three receivers ahead of him are Ricky Pearsall, Jaden Higgins, and Luther Burden. And behind him are Brandon Ayuk, Cortland Sutton, and Trey Harris. Now,
Okay.
out of those 7, who's going to have the best stats this year? Like, it's almost inconceivable that any of these other guys outproduce Devontae Adams this year.
Yeah, now look, I love some Jaden Higgins. He's one of my favorite rookies this year.
Right, you love Pearsall and
However,
Higgins, I know.
So like if you're building something where you're gonna punt this year, then sure, take one of those dudes that are around.
Yeah, then don't take
But
Adams, no.
If you're drafting, and let's just say this much, if you've drafted 3 elite wide receivers and it's in the 8th round and Devontae Adams is sitting there, you're playing to win now if you got 3 elite receivers. So you need to have another one. You know, depending on how many
Right.
flex spots you have, you need to have more receivers or more running backs, however you've done your build. But Devontae, even if you went super running back heavy and robust running back strategy, you can nail Devontae Adams much later in drafts to help solidify a receiver room that's going to be otherwise shaky and give you someone who's going to put up wide receiver 1 numbers. Now, look, I know Puka Nacua was there, and he's going to get the majority of the targets. I have no doubt about that. However, Devontae Adams will be a red zone monster, and he's going to hit big plays. This is going to be the best quarterback play he's had since Rodgers in Green Bay.
Right.
You know, so much earlier in his career. So this is going to be great for him because Stafford still throws the ball very well. Stafford's very good quarterback. So, and I'll talk about him later. Go figure.
Yeah.
So,
No, it's just
super value here with Adams, in my opinion.
yeah, I think the fact that Puka is there, there's no worries really from my end because Stafford just his concentration of target share to his wide receiver 1s and 2s over his career and into the last couple of seasons, even with the Rams, he's got the highest concentrated target share to his 1s and 2s. And so I don't see anything different coming here. It's not like Jordan Whittington's all of a sudden lighting it up or anything else in the wide receiver room is going to take away from those two. Their tight end doesn't eat a lot. So, it's now Higbee and Ferguson. So Ferguson's a rookie.
Dead
And
man
Higbee's
walking.
washed.
Ferguson's a rookie.
So,
yeah.
you're not going to get. You're still looking at 130 plus targets here for Devontae Adams,
Yeah.
and
Barring
that means
injury, this year and
Yeah.
next, what a great pick in the 8th round.
right. Like I remember Larry Fitzgerald putting up awesome numbers in his age 32, 33, and 34 seasons, and Devontae Adams is about as close of a build and just style-wise to Larry Fitzgerald that you can come right now. And so I think Adams has the ability to put up 3 more good seasons, or as long as he wants to play. So
Yep.
all right, next up, we're digging a little deeper here, and we're going to your boy Zach Ertz with the Washington Commanders. Now, I didn't write down his ADP here. I know it's somewhere down. It's got to be somewhere down around 15 through 19. I'm just looking.
I'll just tell you, one of the last drafts I took him with pick 213 in the 19th.
There he is.
round.
His ADP is 222,
Okay, there you go.
which would put him around 18.
Well, I took
Yeah.
him at the 19th round. Pick
Okay.
213. I don't know about your math, but anyway.
Okay, round 19. Round
Yeah,
19.
Anyway, 19th round. He is tight end
Yes.
38 on Keep Trade Cut. So, just for some context, tight end 38, right? So he's going around guys like, here's the first three in front of him. Noah Gray, who's not even a starter. Mike Gesicki, Dalton Schultz, and then right behind him, Gunnar Helm, Noah Fant, Juwan Johnson. Okay, now I get it. Look, Zach Ertz, super old. He's on a one-year deal with Washington. But I don't, even in like tight end premium leagues, we're very similar in this. I just don't like investing a ton in my tight ends. I got licked a couple of times by doing that, so I just don't do it. And look, I know Deebo Samuel's now in Washington. Deebo is not going to cut into any sort of Zach Ertz target share. Zach Ertz had a good year last year, which is why he wanted to come back to Washington and play with Jay Daniels. Okay, but 19th round to go get a tight end that can start for you, I mean, why not? Now look, I will say this with a disclaimer. I did draft a tight end right behind him who is 14 spots ahead of him positionally, and the heir apparent to tight end in Washington and Ben Simmons. I like to draft them both together, so that way I've got the tight end winner for Jaden Daniels. But look,
well, and then you're covering yourself if Sinnott turns into Trey McBride, right?
Right, that's the whole idea. That's the whole idea. Now I've been high on Sinnott since last draft season, but either which way.
We all know, yes. Well aware.
Zach Ertz going that deep in a draft for someone who's going to get into your lineup. If you're in best ball, he's going to hit your lineup. Probably more frequently than Noah Fant, or who else did I say was right around him?
Well, you've got Aronde Gadsden, Cole Kmet, Noah Gray.
Michael Mayer is going ahead of him. Luke Musgrave. Theo Johnson.
Yeah.
I mean, those are guys that... Harold Fannin. It's like 15 spots ahead. He's not even the starting tight end on his team.
I just look at it like this, Matt. You know, we're taking Travis Kelce right now at the 126th pick, according to Dynasty Data Lab. Tight end 13. Is there really any difference in Travis Kelce and Zach Ertz right now?
Outside of
and Zach Ertz is 2 years younger than Kelce.
Yeah.
But yet he's going over 100 picks later.
Yeah.
And so if you're thinking of grabbing Travis Kelce, put it this way. If you're thinking of grabbing Travis Kelce in round 10, grab a decent running back instead, or a decent wide receiver, and just wait 5 or 6 more rounds, and then grab Zach Ertz or even Mike Gesicki. I'm talking those two. They're not
Henry.
Sexy names, or Hunter Henry. Exactly. Those three, I love those guys in these drafts. Gesicki, Henry, and Ertz. I love all three of those guys. Grabbing them in rounds 15 through 18, and you're going to get top 15 tight end production out of them. And you're not wasting a pick on an Aronde Gadsden, who I love. I loved grabbing him in rookie drafts. Loved grabbing him in rookie drafts, but his price is too high right now. Chigo Okonkwo, Theo Johnson. Just grab the guy that you know is going to put up points, especially if you're in a best ball format. Just grab the guy you know is going to put up points. You're not getting anything on the open market for Theo Johnson, okay? Nobody's pounding down your door for him, even though Darren Waller now magically left the Giants. I don't know. He must still be on. You know how the Saints backfill their contracts. They must still be paying, or they must have still been paying Darren Waller, funding his rap career. But Now they don't have him on the books anymore. Now Miami gets to deal with him. But yes, go out there and get Zach Ertz. I'm telling you, he is well worthwhile. All right, now we've got a couple of others we're gonna rip through real quick.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara.
Yeah,
Alvin Kamara.
Great. Dude, he is. Let's see. He is. I got him, or I've seen him go in like the 8th round.
Yes, we just grabbed him in the 8th round, actually.
There you go.
Of our last, and that was after we grabbed McCaffrey 2 rounds earlier. So that kind of led into that build. By drafting McCaffrey, we went ahead and grabbed Kamara as well. You drafting Kamara, you're drafting the points, right? Who knows how many years he'll play? You're drafting it for this season, and you're getting the points, okay? The running backs going around Kamara right now, you got Joe Mixon going right ahead of him, and David Montgomery and Isaiah Pacheco and Cam Scatterbo right behind him. So, I mean, who knows what Scatterbo is, honestly. Montgomery, obviously, he's got to deal with Jahmyr Gibbs, and will he get less carries this year? Will we not? Yep.
Clear timeshare.
And Isaiah Pacheco, same thing. Pacheco, he's the running down guy in Kansas City, but is there really any running downs in Kansas City? Like, they're looking to pass all the time. And so I'm not loving Pacheco, right?
He's a bounce back.
But Kamara?
That's it. Yeah.
And then Kamara?
Joe Mixon, too. But they added Nick Chubb, which I don't think really hurts Mixon, but Kamara gives you a bigger pass-catching upside, and he does give you the ability to just drop like a 40-point game multiple times.
If it comes down to it and you're in round 7, 8, 9, and you're looking for running back points, like I said, in that pocket, round 6 through 9, you're looking back. Whether you take Joe Mixon or Kamara, I'm not going to hate it one way or the other. You can argue both of them. I mean, Mixon probably higher touchdown upside, but Kamara obviously higher receiving upside.
No close to each other for a reason on that one. I like them both, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, then your next guy was Stafford, who you mentioned earlier.
Yep.
Go ahead on him. He's currently going after Anthony Richardson and before Jalen Milroe. So he's after Geno Smith if you want to look at true starting quarterbacks. We don't know what to think of Anthony Richardson right now, but he's going at pick 127, QB 29.
Yeah, and he's on Keep Trade Cut. He's ranked quarterback 28. All we play is super flex, so I'm just going to assume that in all of our discussion here. But the 11th round is where I've been grabbing him as like my second or third quarterback. And especially if I get him paired with Devontae, oh man, I'm really happy about that.
With that offense, there's no slowing him down. He's really just going ahead of Aaron Rodgers if you really break it down, as far as true starting quarterbacks, because the dudes around him are, like I said, Richardson, Milroe, Tyler Shook, Shedeur Sanders. Like, if you just want to make sure you're getting a quarterback that's actually going to play, it's a no-brainer. You grab Stafford. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, he's a
Next
great
up.
grab. I know he's a bit older. He's 37 years old, but he's a good grab. He's got another year or two left, so at least contract-wise. So, especially
it's really up to him. It's really up to him how long he wants to play at this point.
Yeah. Well.
All right. Next.
Jersey ended his career, so winning a Super Bowl helps, and then always being competitive helps.
Yes.
He's got a good backfield behind him, a good, decent off. Good. Checks all the boxes, and the value that you're getting on him, a lot worse.
Next up, quickly, you've got Tajay Spears, who's going at 140, currently behind Najee Harris, Javonte Williams, Jordan Mason, and ahead of Tank Bigsby and Rashad White, Ramondre Stevenson.
Tell me
ugly
everybody
duo.
that's ahead of him real quick.
So the 3 running backs ahead of him right now are Najee Harris, Javonte Williams, and Jordan Mason.
Okay.
Is currently 7 picks ahead of him. Basically, Jalen Warren.
I think Spears is better than Taj. Breakout candidate for me. If you watch the last 3-4 weeks of the season last year, they started leaning more his favor. Dude, he was a few weeks of the season.
Yes, he was. There's no doubt that's a fact.
The coaching staff said last year we're going to do a 50-50 split, even though it was not anywhere close to a 50-50 split. Tony Pollard can't handle that kind of those now. He's a better running back. So, and he's a good pass catcher too. So at that value, Spears going in like the 13th, 14th round. Heck yeah, I'll take me some Tajay Spears. Running back depth piece there. Into the lineup.
We got 3 more quickly.
Yep.
Stephon Diggs. Interesting.
Yeah, 14th round. And look, I know he's coming off the surgery and he's got some questionable off the field stuff. But in New England, with what we both agree is a really good quarterback, who else receiver that one in New England? That's why I think he's a good value here in the 14th, 15th round.
Well, you've got to watch out for Efton Chisholm, but he's going at pick 147, wide receiver 56, and I think all of us are projecting up for Drake May this year, right? So if JJ McCarthy, if that's going to happen, it somewhere. Hunter Henry isn't going to be tight end 1. Okay, I love me some Hunter Henry, but he's not getting 130 catches this year. So where are those catches? Right? You've got Steph Diggs, Kyle Williams, Pop Douglas,
Sean Booty, Kendrick Bourne.
Yeah, you got a bunch of dudes, and
Jalen Pope.
The only one that stands out, it's one of these guys doesn't belong here, right? Type thing. Mm-hmm. The only one that's a veteran. The other dudes are all trying to prove themselves.
Correct.
Diggs is the one, and this is just a dart throw, really, because again, it's round 14 that we're doing this in, where you're picking Diggs. Mm-hmm. You're just gambling that he actually is healthy. Honestly, because if he's on the field, he's going to get open. That's for sure. The guy knows how to run routes. The guy knows how to run routes. Yeah, he's going to be a target hog. And if he's healthy all season, it's going to be him and Hunter Henry as the guys. Now, I know personally, I've taken a few shots on Kyle Williams, and that's basically betting against Stephon Diggs. So at the same time, I do have a couple.
Williams for right?
No, you're not.
Right.
You're drafting Kyle Williams for 2026 and beyond, right? The hope is that Kyle Williams learns how to run routes in the NFL from Stephon Diggs.
That's right.
That's the idea. But with the Josh McDaniels system that we've known for years and years and years, they run plays to develop receivers over the middle, and that's where Stephon Diggs feasts. So, I mean, you could be looking at drafting the wide receiver 56 here and getting a top 30 wide receiver.
Yep.
I'm not saying and I don't think you are either, that he's going to be top 12, but top 30 is definitely not out of the range of
He could finish as a
possibilities.
high-end wide receiver 3. He could even dip into the
Right.
wide receiver 2 pool, depending on
Well,
what he
sure,
looks
depending on touchdowns. Sure.
Like. Yep.
All right. Then the last two complete dart throws here quickly: Aronde Gadsden and Jalen Lane.
Yeah.
You want to mention
Well, I'll
anything
just
quickly?
say with Gadsden being a converted wide receiver, he's super athletic, and he's a Charger, man. Who else is in
Right.
in his way, really? I think if he learns how to, he gets better in pass pro, look out. Because
Yeah,
Greg
for him,
Roman
it's-
loves 2 tight ends.
Right. For Gadsden, it's just a matter of getting on the field, right? They got Will Disley there, and they Tyler Conklin they brought in, right?
Yeah.
So it's a matter of just getting onto the field. If he does, he could outproduce Stone Smart from last year. And then
Yeah,
we've got we've got Jalen Lane with Washington again,
Yeah.
getting on the
I
field.
love me some Jalen Lane. He's fast. He's a good route runner.
Right.
Luke McCaffrey's been terrible. I say he's terrible. He hasn't been what people were hoping he would be. And I think Jalen Lane's going to steal that slot. Not steal. He's just going to take over the slot for Washington. And I think that's going to be a productive
He very easily could.
position
I mean,
in years to come. Plus, he's going to be able to help out in the return game. So if your league gets
Yeah.
points in any way, shape, or form to return yards, he's going to throw you a little bone there as well.
yeah, he was absolutely worth a dart throw for me when we grabbed him in the 27th round. So
Yeah.
it's fine
Beautiful.
with me. Yes. All right. So now we get to our avoids, and we're gonna start this off with one guy who the dynasty community has definitely fallen on. Right? He's no longer going in the top 5 selections. No longer the absolute bona fide 101, but he's still who he is, and that's Patrick Mahomes. So Patrick Mahomes, currently 19th on Keep Trade Cut, 15th in ADP, quarterback 6, going on average at the 203 in our current dynasty startups. So I know that
The
you are
what?
one of the
He's going at the what?
203, pick 15. Now, it's been well documented you are one of the biggest haters on this man, on this planet.
Yeah.
So you don't have to say why you don't want to pick him, because we know you just don't like him. But
Well-
put it into context with the quarterbacks going around him.
Just
Quarterbacks
at the
going
points.
around him.
Yeah.
If you're looking to go quarterback early,
Yeah.
why should you avoid taking Patrick Mahomes in between Jalen Hurts, who usually goes in the first round, right? Anywhere from picks 5 to 10. And then you have the cluster of Caleb Williams, Justin Herbert, Drake May, Bo Nix. Why should you just pass or tear down from the one and only Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, so just look. Now, look, I know Rishi Rice looks good and he's coming back, but he does have a suspension looming over his head, and there's still no guarantee he's going to produce or do what he does for Patrick Mahomes. If you look at Rishi Rice and all of the numbers he puts up, it's because he's the one doing the actual work. Most of his targets come like 5 yards off the line. It's a lot of yak, which makes Mahomes look a little bit better than he actually is. There's that piece, right? So if Rishi is not exactly the same as he was, that hurts Mahomes. Travis Kelce's how old? 100? 30.
Okay, 36. He's 36.
He's 36 years old. Last year, I think, was a clear indication that the man has lost a step. He's slower. He's not as sharp in and out of his breaks. Still big dude, still great blocker, still just as intense, things you can't necessarily coach. But he's older and lost a step, which means he's not as effective. That hurts Mahomes. Then you get into Xavier Worthy looked really good down the stretch last year, but he's still a young receiver. I think he'll be fine. But then you got what, Hollywood Brown? When's the last time you really seen him be anything? Right? And then Juju Smith-Schuster. Come on. Then let's get to the backfield. You got Pacheco, who is a bounce back candidate. Kareem Hunt. And then they did draft Rashard Smith, which we both agree is awesome. And could really help him out. But that being said, his offense is not what it used to be. He takes, in my opinion, a lot of chances and turns the ball over, or whatever. It just, everything that he does and what's around him doesn't scream to me like this guy's going to put up a lot of points this year. I got to have it. Especially when you look at everything that's going around him. And I'm just looking at the Keep Trade Cut rankings, right? So I know it's slightly different here than the ADP. But going behind him, Caleb Williams, C.J. Stroud, Justin Herbert, Bo Nix, Jordan. I'll leave it at those four. I would take Caleb Williams. This is Dynasty. He's young and he's got Ben Johnson. C.J. Stroud has a huge upgrade in the wide receiver room, and I still think he's that guy. And then you've got Justin Herbert. Now, given he may not have the passing volume, his quality is there. And they've done nothing but invest in his pass catchers as well. And then Bo Nix, who is still ascending from last year's performance. And they've given him some new weapons to go with it. So I would take all four of those dudes ahead of Patrick Mahomes. And that's why I just think being the 7th or 6th overall quarterback and going early second round, oh my gosh, I'd much rather take a Puka or a Brian Thomas, or even I'd take guys further back in the second, like Drake London or Nico Collins.
So I think what I'm getting from you is that if you've taken a player, you've taken a player in the first round, whether it's, okay, he's going at the 203. If you've picked a wide receiver in the late portion of the first, and you're looking to go quarterback with your second selection, you're better off trading back into the Bo Nix range, CJ Stroud range, whatever, because Mahomes doesn't have that upside of popping back into the top 5. Right?
Yeah,
fair enough.
Think he may have some top 5 weeks, but I don't think he's going to have a top 5 season. Not anytime soon.
Right.
Not this year.
Well, if you look at the numbers are facts. Look at it. Yep. Last year he was hanging around quarterback 20 forever. Now he had a few decent weeks late in the year, and I think he got himself up to somewhere in the QB 10 to 15 range. But their running game's got to really tank.
Yeah.
Because their running game is average at best. They get the running game they get because of the teams being scared of their passing, I think. But how much of Mahomes is just, being granted first downs that really weren't there because of penalties, right? Pass interference calls.
That's the other thing too.
Phantom non-holding calls that were actually holds, right? I'm just saying, and I'm not as much of a hater as you are, but it's disgusting. It really is. And so we're gonna see this year if the refs help them out as much, if the NFL's paying those guys or not, if the NFL wants to see somebody else actually take over the helm as the face of the league. And I think so. I think his time is dwindling down, put it that way. Kansas City's doing a good job of replenishing talent, no doubt. We talked. They added Rashard Smith, and Xavier Worthy's kind of ascending and whatever. But Kelsey declining is a big thing. They're buddies. I mean, that's a big thing. Now Rashee Rice can definitely take over that role of the over the middle catches, for sure. But yeah, I mean, Kansas City got their asses whooped in the Super Bowl, and that's a blueprint for others to use. I mean, but will it happen or not? I mean, Tampa did the same thing to Mahomes in the Super Bowl, and not many other teams were able to replicate that for 3 straight years until this year's Super Bowl. So,
Yeah.
I think the fan base, just the generic NFL fan as a whole, wants to see the Chargers or the Broncos take over that division from them, and see the Chiefs get beat down and finish 9-8 this year, something like that. Now, how does that relate to fantasy numbers? Does that mean Mahomes throws more? I think it leads to maybe a couple more touchdowns, but it does lead to more interceptions, because we all know he loves to take chances, and I think some more interceptions are on the horizon. I don't know that he gets more yardage and touchdowns, really. So I think this is about the right place for him to get taken. But yeah, I'm all about trading back around and getting whoever falls at quarterback at the beginning of the 3rd round. I'm totally fine with that if you want your quarterback, if you want a quarterback that early. So whether it's your QB1 or QB2, however you decide to draft your wide receivers or running backs early. But yeah, I'm not thinking that I'm drafting Patrick Mahomes at the 203 and thinking that he's going to bump himself back up into the top 5 of the stratosphere here on the dynasty.
Round. If you get him in the 4th round, then then there's value built in. But
right,
you're never going to find him in the 4th round. So
right,
let someone
he
else
should be
make
going
that
more. I mean, age-wise, he's basically the same age as Baker. That's where he should be going, probably.
Yeah, but quarterbacks'
But he's
age
not.
and wide receivers' ages are different. I think age gets brought a little too far into the dynasty talk now. When they're closer, whatever. We talk too much about age sometimes. If you're trying to win, age doesn't matter, but
Right.
value does, and you're not going to get the value out of Patrick Mahomes drafting him at the 203.
Well, and that's another thing to bring in when you would talk about him. The Chiefs play an offensive style where they're trying to win games. They're no longer trying to just put up 50 points every week, right? When Mahomes was younger, that's what they were doing, right? But now that he's more of a game manager, what I'm getting at is he's declining stats wise because he's doing more so what Aaron Rodgers was doing with the Packers, where they were milking the clock down to 1 second every time, every down.
Yeah.
When the Chiefs run an offense where they are trying to milk the clock. They're not trying to be the team that, like Chip Kelly's going to the Raiders, right? They're trying to run as many plays as possible. The Chiefs aren't trying to do that. They're trying to give their defense a rest. I mean, they're playing smart football. I'll give them that. But that doesn't help Mahomes fantasy-wise, and that's what we're playing here. And so regardless of whether you hate him or you love him, just stats-wise, it's really not a great bet. 15th overall. It just isn't. So, all right, I think we killed Mahomes enough. Let's move on to the next guy who I didn't like last year, and I guess I kind of ate it on him, but he's still kind of shaky, and that's Kyren Williams from the Rams.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on Kyren?
Okay, so how many touches did he have last year? 350-ish, something like that.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. I don't think
Plenty.
he's going to get
He got
that
a lot.
many touches. Yeah, he had a ton of touches. He's one of, if not the most inefficient running back over a certain amount of carries. He's so inefficient, man. And they added Blake Corum last year, and then they brought in Jarquez Hunter this year. I just don't see him carrying that kind of dominance in the backfield from a timeshare, number one. And then number two, if he doesn't get all those touches, he's not worth his value, or he's not worth his rent. So any sort of like dip into his workload is detrimental to him, and I don't think he's going to get it this year. And when you look at the 5 guys going behind him, 5, right behind him, just on keep trade cut: Chase Brown, Kenneth Walker, Josh Jacobs, Caleb Johnson, and James Cook, and then Christian McCaffrey. All of those dudes I would take over him. All of them. Every single one of them I would take ahead of Kyron Williams.
Yeah, for me, it's more like the Rams are not an organization that pays their running backs. They didn't pay Todd Gurley, and I know Gurley had the injury issue with his knees. But, yeah, they drafted Jarquez Hunter, and they still have Blake Corum there. I just don't – this is his last year with the Rams. And, you know, he's going at pick 46, RB11, which is the 410. At the 410, I'm looking more at, you know, if Rashee Rice or T. Higgins are going just a couple picks ahead of him, Brock Purdy, J.J. McCarthy. Like, I'm taking McCarthy all day. Why would you take Kyron Williams over J.J. McCarthy? Like, I don't care if you already drafted 2 quarterbacks ahead of him, and McCarthy's still sitting there. Josh Jacobs. Okay, similar situation with a contract. Jacobs is in all these multiple 1-year deals. He signed a 4-year deal, but they can cut him every year after it. But Josh Jacobs was solid last year, and he's still going to be the horse there in Green Bay. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Kyron, he's one injury away from being nothing, and
yeah,
I'm just not. I don't love it. All right, then. We've got Garrett Wilson. I know you want to get through these quickly. Garrett Wilson currently.
Go ahead.
Garrett Wilson, ADP is 33, wide receiver 13, going at the 309. You've got A.J. Brown. Let me see here. A.J. Brown, Ted McMillan, Hunter, and Travis Hunter right behind him. JSN ahead of him.
T. Higgins and Rashee Rice.
Correct. So do you just see Garrett Wilson more in line with Rashee Rice and T. Higgins? Is that what you feel?
The thing is like I would take McMillan and A.J. Brown over him. I would take I'd probably take Travis Hunter over him as well. I would take Rashee Rice over him. That might be about it from there. But like T. Higgins, probably not. Yeah, T. Higgins probably not.
Okay.
But that's about it. I've never really been on board with Garrett Wilson. There's nothing about his game that just jumps off the paper to me. And I get it. There's no one else around him. I get it. He's got a new quarterback, his college quarterback, right? And Justin Fields. But
right,
Justin
and that's
Fields,
where I'm in on him.
Yeah, and see, that's part of what loses me too, because Justin Fields hasn't been known as like the most accurate quarterback. We know he holds onto the ball too long. He takes a lot of sacks. But if there is no other real pass catcher, Garrett Wilson is going to command all the attention. And he doesn't strike me as someone who can thrive in that. I mean, last year he didn't start to produce that well until Devontae Adams was there to divert attention. So I don't know, for that kind of price tag, the wide receiver 13, I'd assume pick other guys there. I'd much rather take A.J. Brown.
Fair enough.
There's just guys there I would take over him. So
that's fair. I mean, the Jets don't present an offense that screams top 10 offense this year, right?
Right.
Okay, let's be fair. They're probably going to be in the 20s. So that means that you get a lower touchdown potential. Like, I don't see Garrett Wilson getting to 10 touchdowns or more. So it's going to be hard for him
in the season too. So
yeah, that's the point. It's going to be hard for him to ascend to a level where it's actually worth grabbing him here. AJ Brown, at least when you're drafting him here in this range, he can be a top 5 wide receiver.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tet McMillan, the sky is the limit, right?
Yep.
Same with Travis Hunter. Like you're not getting So with Garrett Wilson, you're just not. Rashee Rice, you can get a top 5 wide receiver out of, right? T. Higgins has those weeks whenever it doesn't necessarily even have to be when Chase is out.
And actually,
okay?
I'll say that too. What if Chase goes down? I'd probably still take T. Higgins over him now that I'm thinking about that.
Right. So that's where I think it comes in, and I think that's where you're getting to is Garrett Wilson doesn't have that upside. Okay, yes, he might get a ton of targets, but literally 5 to 8 touchdowns is what you're looking at from him, unfortunately. And I do think he's very talented. He's gone on record saying that JSN,
in real NFL, I think he's a great wide receiver too.
Right. He's gone on record saying JSN was the best receiver in that room with him and Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave. That JSN was the best of the 3. So there's that. And yeah, I think Wilson would be a super wide receiver 2 on a good team. So, all right, quickly then we'll run through the ones we wanted to avoid because I know you got to get out of here. But Jake Ferguson, the Pittsburgh receiver options, which we talked about, we hit on those early, so we don't have to talk about that much. But basically, it's 3 tight ends. It's Jake Ferguson, Tyler Warren, and Colston Loveland. So quickly, just your thoughts on this. Really comes into with the tight end position as a whole, right? Jake Ferguson's one of those later tight ends, and we mentioned some of the vets that we like around that area. But why don't you touch on the...
Looking right around him, you got Terrence Ferguson, the rookie there in L.A., Brenton Strange, Elijah Arroyo. I don't know. There's just Cade Otton, Dallas Goedert. These are all going behind him that are probably going to put up similar production.
Right. He's just going too early for the guys around him.
I don't think that helps him at all. I think it helps CeeDee Lamb, but I don't think it helps Ferguson.
Right. And then Colston Loveland and Tyler Warren, where they're going, you've got George Kittle in the same range and TJ Hawkinson in the same range. It's like, come on. What are you buying here? I mean,
Njoku, Mark Andrews, and Tucker Kraft all behind him as well.
You can get all those dudes 3 or 4 rounds later. Like the guys that you're picking Tyler Warren over is insane.
Who his quarterback is.
Exactly.
Loveland? Dude, where does he fall in the pecking order of guys? They've got so many mouths to feed there, and he's a rookie.
Tyler Warren right now is going in between Trevor Lawrence and Jared Goff, ADP wise, ahead of 4 picks ahead of George Kittle.
That's silly to me, especially when you think about San Francisco, what they're going to start the season as, probably without Brandon Ayuk. Or at least the Brandon Ayuk that we remember from 18 months ago. And then Jawan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall. George Kittle is going to eat.
Oh, yeah.
George Kittle is going to eat.
And then Colston Loveland here in between Michael Penix and Kenneth Walker.
Give me either one. Give me either one.
Dude, I don't know if there's a bigger avoid that I've had throughout the rookie draft process and now into this startup than Colston Loveland. Like, the dude might have been amazing at Michigan. Fine. And he didn't put up great numbers, I know, because they didn't throw a lot. It's the same with J.J. McCarthy. And I believe that Loveland might be a good tight end, okay? But is he going to... Again, when it comes to tight ends and what we want are guys that are top 2 targets in their offense. Brock Bowers definitely is. Definitely is. We're out on Laporta because he probably isn't, right? But George Kittle has had to be. He's had to be. But then you get to Colston Loveland and you've got...
He probably slots in at number 2.
With Colston Loveland, like you've got you've got DJ Moore, you've got Roma Dunze, you've got now Luther Burden. And then he's battling Cole Kmet in his own tight end room. Like, Cole Kmet doesn't all of a sudden just suck. Cole Kmet he's a decent tight end. I'm not going to overhype Cole Kmet here, but he doesn't suck. Just screams. And to draft him at tight end 6 over TJ Hawkins.
Tight ends to begin with, but that's just me. But anyway,
me as
that's
well.
That's it on all of my avoids. That's it on my avoids, man.
I am good because I think we're on the same page with those avoids, and yeah, we're gonna smash in this next startup we've got coming on. We will have some reviews for you. Please smash the like and subscribe so you get all these videos coming up. We're gonna have a review on the Birdhouse 4 draft with Ty DeClaire from DD Fantasy, as well as another one with Justin Bruni from Fanspeak and on as well. But yeah, we've got to prepare for coming up in a week. We're going to be broadcasting that one live for you, so we can help you give you some tips as to who to grab and who to avoid in your drafts coming up as well. But with that, any final quick thought, Matt? Avoid the tight end.
And don't even really think about it till you get to double-digit rounds. That's
unless Bauer am grabbing a wide receiver opposed to them in that area.
Man,
I've just seen Bowers has been awesome, right? Bowers was awesome, and he's better than Sam Laporta. But it does scare me to grab a tight end in the first round. It just does.
I will let someone else get all the spoils of taking a McBride and a Bowers. That's fine. Because I don't want to assume that risk when I know I can get guys that have a much lower risk with probably a higher ceiling in those ranges. So, I mean, I get it. You're taking one of those guys because then you have dominance within that. You have positional dominance in all of your matchups, right? Most leagues don't start 2 tight ends, and most people are trying to avoid putting 2 tight ends into their lineup. So there just shouldn't be a ton of investment in a position that usually only gets 1 starting roster spot. You know, so much rather be just wailing on some wide receivers in the first 3-4 rounds, get myself a quarterback in there, and then kind of start to see where the drafts put everything, right? Do I take another receiver or 2 here? Do I go ahead and grab a good value? Never am I thinking, ooh, here's stupid value on a tight end. No, rarely. Unless I'm sitting there in the 5th and George Kittle's right there at the top of my players list there. And then it's kind of like, well, within Rome.
And there you go. And those are your final thoughts from the one and only Matt English. Thank you for joining us today in the Birdhouse Dynasty Show. That will be all for us, and let us remind you to never stop working.